Starfield and Bethesda are doing absolutely horribly, and that puts a smile on my face. Because the worse off Bethesda is, the higher the likelihood that someone but Bethesda gets to develop the next Fallout game. And that's a win for the community.
Over the past week or so, we've been getting some pretty surprising and even at points just confusing updates from Bethesda. Starfield.
Well, the fact that Bethesda is even updating games is surprising and confusing. And the modders hate that because they ruin everything with their updates.
Review scores are dropping, but Bethesda is responding to these negative reviews in perhaps one of the most bizarre ways possible. And although Starfield has been dominating the spotlight as of late, Skyrim is about to take over in a major way, as a new Skyrim update is coming later this week, and this is one that some of you will almost certainly be unhappy about. Oh yeah, and Bethesda has another new secret game on the way. But I'm also going to help you make some insane progress on your holiday gifts. That with today's video sponsor, Ridge. Right now is Ridge's big holiday sale, and let me tell you, Ridge...
Oh, look at that, it's the Ridge wallet. The you will own nothing and be happy wallet. Dude, I'm not saying this wallet is bad. You can actually buy it. But, dude, it has a pin or some kind of elastic thing for money. A pin for money. A clip to put your money in a wallet? Outside of the wallet? Are you autistic to buy that? Well, here's to you will own nothing and be happy. Cheers, buds.
The first thing we need to talk about is this new update coming to Skyrim. What? So Bethesda functionally confirmed this earlier this week on Twitter by saying, we're planning on an extended maintenance window for in-game mods and Creation Club services starting the morning of November 29th, with mods and Creation Club services for Skyrim Special Edition being down during this time. And what I think is the single most telling part about this is both the Skyrim mods website as well as the Creation Kit itself will undergo maintenance here. And yeah, it seems like this is it. The long rumored and somewhat leaked return of paid mods for Skyrim.
I called it. How many times did I say I'm not giving up on the idea that paid mods are coming back? Everything in Starfield was hinting at it. And obviously this gives Bethesda reason to actually make a bare bones game and not finish it. It's the idea that the mods will, well, fix it for you. And actually, that way you can sell the game at full price for like $70, and then you can sell mods that you yourself have not made for literally hundreds of dollars extra. It's like constant DLC. It's the perfect play. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's crazy.
Hinting at this for about a year now. I originally covered this all the way back at the end of 2022, how Bethesda was reaching out to former Creation Club members, and one did leak as much, inviting them to some kind of Creation Club 2 for Skyrim. Even beyond that, we've seen Skyrim on SteamDB getting updates on a weekly basis, so they've been working on something, and at one point, one of these work-in-progress branches for the game was even titled Marketplace. And the cherry on top was Todd Howard himself consistently talking about creating new avenues for modders to get paid in interviews. It seems like the wait is finally over, as later...
That's gonna end so poorly.
This week, Skyrim is going to be getting a new update. We'll be seeing maintenance behind the scenes for the game on November 29th, and perhaps that same day...
You know why by the way, do you know why the Skyrim and whatnot mods from the Creation Club first failed? It wasn't because of backlash from the community. Do you think Bethesda honestly cares? The Bethesda fanboys are gonna play it no matter what, and the Bethesda fanboys are the primary buyers for the Creation Club mods. The reason that they actually pulled the Creation Club off was because they couldn't fix the issue with people just re-uploading other people's mods and stealing from each other. The curation there was absolutely horrible. And a huge flood of absolutely useless garbage was also horrible. That was the only reason Bethesda stopped that thing, because they had no solution for it. Maybe they actually finally have a solution for it, so they're bringing it back. Because again, dude, do you think you Bethesda fanboys have absolutely any say or any power how Bethesda abuses you? No, you just sit there tight and say thank you when they whip you. That's your job. That's your life. Sad.
or even in the following days to a week, this new marketplace update will be shipping for Skyrim. And what you should expect from this one is something very similar to Minecraft Marketplace, where mod authors who are accepted will be able to list mods for sale on a storefront, and users will
you see, accepted mod creators. Oh yeah.
then be able to buy those mods for real-world money. And even if you participated with paid mods for Skyrim on one of the other 2 attempts,
you know what's gonna happen instantaneously with a system like this? There's gonna be a secondary market where authorized mod creators are gonna upload other people's mods with an agreement that they split the profits 50-50 or something like that. Yeah, it's gonna be the literal world of the rich get richer. It's gonna be great. I see no backlash to this.
this time will be a bit different, at least especially compared to Creation Club. With the Minecraft Marketplace, there is both free and paid mods available on the storefront. And unlike Creation Club, the Marketplace model is far less curated. You get in and then you could freely post.
Also, by the way, the fact that, you know, if it's a curated section, there, if I was in that curated section, I would just tell Bethesda that everyone else who is also a modder is like a PDF file or something like that. I would try to get those people banned. I would try to assassinate them. Because every single other creator that is accepted by Bethesda is your enemy. Okay? Them existing means you earn less. So there's very, very much highly... The mod creators are going to start wars with each other. It's going to be great. Someday we're going to have the rundown story of the great Bethesda mod war because of that. I can't wait for it. It's going to be amazing.
Things as opposed to Bethesda screening every single thing that's listed for compatibility. So on one hand, this could be good in that we're not going to be seeing monthly updates for Skyrim breaking mods over and over again, but at the same time, if you do have a big Skyrim load order or a modded game at all, I would highly recommend disabling auto updates right now, because it seems almost certain that an update's coming to Skyrim this week and at least some of your mods will be breaking. And if you are sitting here wondering why on earth Skyrim is getting paid mods right now, I mean, after all, this is a decade plus old game, it seems pretty likely that all of this coming to Skyrim is really just a prototype for Starfield. And Starfield...
Yep, because the people playing Skyrim currently are the absolute giga fans, okay? And and when you have a selection of giga fans and you know that they exist, it's a pretty good sample size of what you can expect to happen in future games. So it's coming to Skyrim. That's like the best.
Starfield's EULA, there is a new listing for something called Creation Credits. The ESRB listing features in-game purchases as an aspect of the game, and even in Starfield's own post talking about mods coming early next year, they explicitly refer to mods as creations, which feels very specific. So I think this is going to be the long-term play from Bethesda. Implement a storefront where modders can list mods for free or for money to create long-term revenue for their games. Skyrim is still one of the most played games on Xbox a decade after release. But of course,
yeah, but there's no one playing games on Xbox.
Of course, Bethesda isn't making...
We actually checked this out. We got some little bit more information. For example, wait, what is this? Oh my lord. Oh, these are just okay. This is not most played things, right?
Skyrim is still one of the most played games on Xbox a decade after release. But of course, Bethesda isn't making a ton of money on all of those free mods being downloaded, but if you do introduce some premium options, and let's say Bethesda takes a, say...
Yeah, slap that midget.
30% cut, all of a sudden you can start passively making millions of...
The fate of manlets.
dollars off of your old games, or even your new ones like Starfield. So I fully expect this to roll out for Skyrim later this week and come to Starfield next year, even after some of the DLC wraps up for Starfield, because if you look at it from Bethesda's perspective, this is a phenomenal way to keep Starfield monetized for years to come, especially with all of those Game Pass players who only paid $10 to gain access to the game. And while Skyrim is about to get a surprise and unexpected update, Fallout 4 still has no word on its expected and announced next-gen update. It's been over a year of silence since Bethesda...
Yeah, that's some classic Bethesda aiming right there.
confirmed that a free next-gen update was coming to Fallout 4 in 2023. Pete Hines just recently commented on this. Pete Hines recently retired, but in a tweet he did mention, "I did try getting an update before I left, nothing concrete enough I could share." So I guess Bethesda is just staying quiet on this one. I do think this is going to be yet another example of poor communication from Bethesda. If the next-gen update's delayed until 2024, that's not really a big deal. If it's still coming out this year, it's just dropping late into...
This is a mod, right? I didn't use laser weapons and is this, no, there's no way, because he's also exhaling and inhaling to slow down time, so this is a mod. Now, admittedly, I have played Fallout 4 multiple times, but I have never seen this. But then again, I wouldn't be surprised if I missed something like this.
2023, that's also not really a big deal. But I think the radio silence is just incredibly frustrating for the thousands to tens of thousands of fans that simply want a 2-sentence tweet on whatever's going on here. But hey, maybe we could be learning more about all of this very soon. Last week, Jez Corden, a notable Xbox insider and leaker, confirmed that something from Xbox will be present at the Game Awards this year. Last year, Xbox very notably skipped the Game Awards in their entirety. A trailer for the Fallout 4 Next Gen update, the Starfield DLC, or hey, even Skyrim creations could make sense here, but it seems like Bethesda does have another secret project in the works as well. As TMR222 on Twitter discovered a Bethesda employee's LinkedIn mentioning an unannounced game, specifically something made originally in Unity ECS, then Unreal Engine 4. It feels like there's a decent chance it's going to be one of Bethesda's ongoing mobile projects. They technically did just release a new mobile game with the Elder Scrolls Castles a couple...
Dude, does Bethesda only make good mobile games now? I mean, good in relative terms, but you know, at least they're playable. I haven't played Fallout Shelter, but I have heard it's at least fun for a couple of hours, which is more than Starfield. So, is Bethesda now a mobile gaming studio or something like that? Because that's the only thing that they don't seemingly absolutely just botch.
Couple of weeks ago, so perhaps this is related to that. But hey, at the very least, something else appears to be coming. There's some other kind of unannounced project at Bethesda, and we'll probably find out more someday. But the bigger news to dominate media over the past week was Starfield, and some of the outright bizarre or concerning updates around the game. As I'm sure most of you have seen by now, earlier this week, Starfield got a
Bethesda updates, Starfield, everyone starts sweating. Yep, seems
new update. This was the game's biggest update so far, mostly due to the 3 previous updates being rather small. And while this update did bring some crazy improvements to the game, there are still some fans frustrated. And frustrated in perhaps one of the most outlandish ways imaginable. So this update had a variety of bug fixes, some quality of life features like an eat button for food, but the major changes were around optimization.
Whoa! Finally, an eat food button. Wow. I mean, that's big.
And DLSS support, which is phenomenal. Many Nvidia users saw gigantic performance gains from this one, and even Digital Foundry was praising this one. They are the authority on performance in video games, and their review of this update described the performance gains as gigantic, and that's where the problems on this one begin.
My theory is that Bethesda didn't even do this themselves, that they got someone from those companies to help them with this. Because why would you not have this at start? Okay? Modders did it in one day. And if it takes 1 day just for a modder to do this, I mean, like, damn, son.
Because this Starfield update had performance gains that were so large it actually became a problem. Because what is a hilarious paradoxical moment, the fact that Starfield received such a gigantic performance boosting update just a couple of months after release has really called into question how well optimized the game actually was on release. Because
called into question, it wasn't even playable! What? Dude, if your game's not even playable, how can it be optimized? Are you kidding me? Optimized and playable? Bruh. Starfield was neither of those. It was a shit show. And everyone knows it. No one's even questioning it. I have not heard anyone even say, "Oh, remember Starfield was actually pre-optimized and good when you're on..." No one's saying that. Wow.
of course, Starfield was described as the most polished Bethesda release yet, but as Digital Foundry
most polished, but again the special category with safety helmets. Most polished Bethesda game. Yeah, You know, the rest of the games are there hitting their heads against the wall, but Starfield, man, Starfield knew that it needs the safety helmet before it starts bashing its skull against the wall. What a great thing to be the most polished Bethesda game, and still there are compilations about funny bugs. Well, not funny bugs, some sad bugs also of bugs ruining the gaming experience. Wow, yeah, most polished Bethesda game. Dude, I don't even want to see the least polished Bethesda game.
Points out, if you could squeeze this much more performance
Well, we have actually seen it. It's Fallout 76. It was hilarious.
out of the game this quickly, it's likely that things were just not well optimized, or not as well optimized as they could be on the original release of the game. As well as with this update, it was discovered that Starfield continues that Bethesda trend of a max internal frame rate at 165 FPS. Now thankfully this is not really a huge issue, it's notably higher than the familiar 60 FPS lock of past games, so for a very specific niche subset of users this is frustrating, and I think overall, just broadly, people are frustrated that Bethesda continues to be the one major player in the industry with these FPS locks. Although not everything about this update was praised, it also implemented HDR support for Starfield, but Digital Foundry took issue with this implementation, describing how the Starfield mod, Luma, does HDR better than the official game update, and if anything, Bethesda should be
wow, no shit. Who would have expected that? I don't know, maybe the fact that they didn't even have it on the release? Again, these are... I'm not a computer guy, but these are basic things that every game should have on the release. And guess what? Starfield doesn't.
looking at the mod
I honestly don't know how poorly stupid you need to be to think that Starfield was optimized. Jesus.
team there to see what kind of improvements to make to HDR. With that said, the update still did bring gigantic improvements to performance, which is great for just about all of the players. But during that same period, Starfield crossed into mixed on Steam. This got a bunch of headlines this week, but it is kind of misleading. When you go to a Steam store page and you see the recent reviews as well as the overall reviews for a game, this is actually going to be for your language. So for most of you watching right now, Starfield just became mixed because you're looking at the English scores. But for weeks now, if you sorted Starfield reviews by all languages, which is probably what you should be doing, it's been mixed for weeks now on Steam. It just only crossed over for English this past week, which is why so many gaming journalists only just realized. And Bethesda does not plan to just let this happen. They have issued a response, or actually several hundred responses, because
how can they save it? Because you need to understand, Starfield's review score is just gonna go lower and lower and lower and lower. When Starfield launched, all the super hyped fanboys instantaneously were playing it on Steam, because that's where the mods are first. And true Bethesda fanboys are always gonna go to the place that has mods, right? They want to waste their life playing mods, which is stupid. Because they need to be installed, and it's a pain, and that's why less than 1% of the player base uses mods. Or even thinks about you playing with mods. And, well, those people upvote Starfield, and then that's the baseline. Those people are the only ones who are going to upvote Starfield positively. Then the people playing the game in early access are going to downvote it because it's shit. And now, slowly but surely, people who have no idea what Starfield even is, they just found a game on Steam that sounded kind of okay and they wanted to try it. Now the normies, the ultra normies, are just slowly going in, trickling in, playing the game and calling it shit. So Starfield's rating is going to keep going down and down and down and down. 90% of players don't even have 5 hours in this game. That's crazy. Good. That the 90% of people who played this game understood that it's that trash so early on. Well played, team.
As Starfield reviews have been getting increasingly negative, Bethesda CS has been responding to them. Yes, this is not a joke, you could find this immediately by looking at the most helpful reviews on Steam, and on almost all of these you'll notice a developer has responded. Which, mind you, is not something you'll find for past Bethesda games on Steam. It's not like Bethesda does this and just typically it doesn't get coverage. No, this is just something new and special they're breaking out for Starfield. So what is Bethesda actually saying here? On one review that points out how Starfield lacks a certain magic from past Bethesda games of making the world our own through our actions and even exploration, which this...
If they say it's realistic, I will scream. If they say that they went for realism, I will scream.
Reviewer feels like Starfield falls short on, Bethesda responds by saying, "We are sorry that you do not like landing on different planets and are finding many of them empty. Some of Starfield's planets are meant to be empty by design, but that's not boring. When the astronauts went to the moon, there was nothing there. They certainly weren't bored. The intention of Starfield's exploration is to evoke a feeling of smallness in players and make them feel overwhelmed. You can continue to explore and find worlds."
Yeah, that's just a long drawn out way of saying nothing's realistic about Starfield, you goddamn cucks. Nothing. You shoot a bullet in the inside of a spaceship. It closely blows up probably. If you shoot multiple, you're fucked. Okay? What do you mean? Realistic. Oh, the astronauts were not bored when they... Yeah, but I'm not that astronaut. This is a game. And, yeah, I
that do
can't.
not have resources you need or hidden outposts to look through. It's okay,
Hidden?
definitely a strange response.
They're not even hidden. They're literally marked on the map because Bethesda doesn't even want you to try and explore the shitty empty planets. Because they know the moment that someone tries to explore a planet, if they didn't leave the markers, they would just find the nearest children's hospital and then hero it up. Because Bethesda is so bad. And literally leave their will that it was Bethesda's fault.
But sure, how about another review with an incredibly common criticism, Starfield having too many load screens? Bethesda had a response to that one as well. While there may be loading screens in between fast traveling, just consider the amount of data for the excessive gameplay that is procedurally generated.
Why would I want to consider that? I'm not a developer, I'm a player. I don't give a shit. Is there data? Is there a monkey in my computer making Starfield maps? I couldn't care less.
To load flawlessly in under 3 seconds. We believe that shortcoming will not hinder our players from getting lost in the world we created. Okay, fair enough, I guess I'm convinced.
Well, they sure made sure that a lot of people are going to get lost by removing the mini-map. That they made sure of, that's true.
Load screens are a-okay now. Just think about the data. And it's not like this is stopping. On a review from earlier today that describes how things get boring after doing them for the first time in Starfield, Bethesda hits back saying, you can fly, you can shoot, you can mine, you can loot. Starfield is an RPG with hundreds of hours of quests to complete and characters to meet. Most quests will also vary on your character's skills and decisions, massively changing the outcome of your playthrough. Try creating...
Not even true. This game is more on rails than anything Bethesda has ever made. Hey, not a single quest has 2 outcomes. Not a single quest has 2 outcomes in this game. Not a single quest that you do impacts the story. There's no way to impact the story.
Different characters with backgrounds and characteristics that clash or are positive.
All characters are the exact same. All of your companions are literally a copy-pasted personality with a different voice. The most human of one is ironically the robot who tells you that he's not even human.
Of your previous character. You'll feel like you're playing a totally different game, put points in different skills from a character you've previously created, and now are faced with completely different decisions to make and difficulties to encounter. There are so many layers to Starfield that you will find things you've never known.
Yeah, Starfield is like an ogre. It has layers because it's like an onion. Ogres are like onions. Well played, Starfield.
Were possible after playing for hundreds of hours. On even one post where the game engine was criticized, Bethesda 2 had a response. We are sorry that you found the game engine behind Starfield lacking. A new iteration of the engine, Creation Engine 2, was used to create Starfield. Creation Engine 2 is like a new tech base, according to Todd Howard.
No, Creation Engine 2 is the same stuff that they made Skyrim on. But now you have a bunch of idiots running around and yelling, look at that, you can do dominoes, this engine has physics, that's so cool, this is so innovative. It has physics, have you seen the domino effect? You stack things and you push them and they fall like dominoes. It has physics. God, I hate this world.
A major upgrade has been made to the engine's pipeline, AI, physics, and visuals. The Creation Engine 2 introduces radiant AI enhancements that allows for dynamic interactions within the game's various environments. There are other advancements, including procedural content generation and improved modding capabilities, provide modders with expanded opportunities for creativity.
Dude, modders are claiming that this is the worst thing that Bethesda has done for creativity.
So I must admit,
Pain.
those are probably some of the most
Pain.
outlandish official responses I've ever read from a game developer, let alone a subsidiary of a trillion-dollar company. And
Well, that's exactly what I would expect from Bethesda, I'm not gonna lie.
the wild part is, it's not like this was like a one-off thing or one dev doing this, then they moved on. No, this has been going on for weeks. There are hundreds of these responses on right now. I mean, just look, as I scroll down the most helpful reviews, almost all of the negative
This is a ChatGPT bot. This is 100% a ChatGPT bot.
reviews here have some kind of response. Bethesda has been doing this for weeks. As I mentioned, several of the reviews I highlighted to you were posted earlier today and then got responses in the same day. A lot of these responses are pretty similar. It almost seems like it's AI responding. So if a certain keyword is mentioned, like let's say you criticize companions in your negative review, Bethesda responds with a certain stat sheet or what you could do with companions, and then kind of has a similar response to all of the reviews that bring up companions. And of course, the crazy part about this, of which many of you know, is they're just arguing over opinions. It's not like somebody here is clearly right or wrong, but somebody prefers something one way and then somebody else prefers it another way. To me, this is...
Well, to be fair, with the amount of people who dislike Starfield versus the amount of people who are mentally ill and like Starfield, I would say there is arguably a right and wrong opinion in this case.
a horrible look for Bethesda. I honestly think this is somewhat embarrassing for a company of this size to be responding like this. But at the same time, this is completely unsurprising. If you look back at how Bethesda handled some of the backlash around Fallout 76, initially players banned from Fallout 76 were told to write essays to get unbanned. After enough backlash and once they got enough media coverage, that was removed.
I remember this one. Bethesda thought that they're gonna be cool about it. They also begged the people who were cheating in Fallout 76 that, hey, if you tell us how you cheated, we're gonna unban you. If you tell us how you made this dupe, we're gonna unban you. They had no idea how people were cheating. They literally begged people to unban them, to tell them how they cheated and what are they doing and how they're doing it. It's crazy. You could buy the best guns in Fallout 76, guns that are no longer available in the game, for real-life money on eBay. It was a wild time.
Moved, but also at one point Fallout 76 had
Because this is what people did. They abused the bug, gave themselves all the rare unique weapons, dropped them, had their second account pick them up, and when the first account got banned, well, the second doesn't. And then they were selling unique one-of-a-kind weapons on eBay. It was wild.
had open mic, so there was no push to talk. If you spoke, your mic would detect it and you would just be projecting that to everyone around you. Of course, that's horrible. Only having an option for open mic or no mic is really crazy. But in their initial round of responses, Bethesda said that open mic was a design decision for Fallout 76 and they did not want to add a push to talk button. And I noticed something very similar with these responses we're getting.
Can you imagine that? Bethesda not knowing how to add a simple button. Wow.
Here. It feels like Bethesda is basically saying, no, we know best when it comes to game design and how you're playing is wrong. Something I had hoped they learned from when it came to Fallout 76, but here we are many years later and it seems like some of those same problems are still around. But that said, these review responses did not seem to have a meaningful impact on review scores unless it was leading to more negative reviews, which is definitely possible. But the Starfield reviews have actually taken a positive turn as of late. This seems to largely be a result of the recent Steam sale, where many new players got Starfield for the first time. Over the past month or so, things were trending downward for Starfield reviews. At my last point of coverage, over 50% of the new reviews for Starfield were negative. With the Steam sale, a huge positive influx of positive reviews have been added for the game, and it seems like many new players are trying it out and really enjoying what it has to offer. Things are definitely still mixed as far as both recent and all-time reviews go, but the trend line is definitely starting to shift towards the positive.
Hell no. No, that's not happening.
New update is likely coming. A new beta branch for Starfield was added on Steam, and although not publicly accessible yet, this is how they tested their previous update, and it seems very likely that this is what they'll do for the next one based off this edition, so perhaps later this week or next week.
I think the updates are gonna stop when the Creation Club gets added. That's great.
We could start beta testing the next patch for Starfield. Although, Starfield definitely has been getting updates at a shockingly slow pace. In a recent Wired interview, Todd Howard
Actually, this is lightning speed for someone like Bethesda.
did confirm that there are still 250 developers working on Starfield. That is over half of
Sad.
the 450 developers
250 developers needed more than 3 months to add an eat button and an FOE slider. Let that sink in. Let that sink in how good the Bethesda devs are, baby. 250 people to fucking make an FOE slider. Mamma mia. That's a spicy meatball.
at Bethesda right now. So I think this paints a pretty clear picture. Starfield got a lot of reviews praising it for being one of the least buggy releases Bethesda has ever had. And as a result of that, many of the devs were taken off of updating the game and instead are working on more content, whether that be official mod
That's
tools
so
and a
funny.
potential paid mod system, or even just this upcoming DLC that many of you watching have already purchased. I think we're seeing small updates for the game because Starfield isn't a buggy game according to reviewers, so Bethesda took that as an opportunity to work more on revenue generating content instead. And even in that original planned features post, Bethesda does describe how mod support is supposed to come to Starfield early next year. So I think that is part of the explanation for these smaller updates. A lot of the company is just working on other things. Typically Bethesda takes a holiday break around mid-December, so I really doubt any more large updates will come this year, but perhaps in early February we see another bigger or more notable update for the game. And the other major story to pop up on the negative Starfield
A new dragon shout would be pretty cool. Something that does damage, you know? We have a Kamehameha that does like minor damage to enemies and does, you know, it's really bad. We should have something more than that, you know? Like a fireplace that burns enemies for very little amounts of damage when they get near it, and it lasts like 2 seconds and does almost no damage. We need new powers. We need new Dragonborn abilities, Todd.
wagon was how Starfield is burning players and how player numbers are plummeting for the game. And this is one of those ones where it really feels like both sides are pretty wrong. You have some claiming this is a
Why?
non-story and say that of course it's a single player RPG, it's losing players. That's going to happen to all of them and this really isn't notable. While on the other hand, some are pointing out that Starfield losing a ton of players quickly and it is a really bad sign for the game. But the reality here is actually super boring. We're 12 weeks since the release of Starfield and the game has lost about 90% of its players on Steam, since it's the only platform actually giving us player numbers right now. So
What do you think people who are playing on Xbox are enjoying their 1,000th hour of a non-modded game? Like, get the fuck out. With no replayability? Let's be real here, okay?
on one hand, a 90% drop is definitely bad for a Bethesda game at this point. This is worse than both Fallout 4 and Skyrim, with Starfield slightly outpacing Fallout 4's player drop, which
You know what's crazy, honestly? The fact that Fallout 4 was a masterpiece compared to Starfield.
many regard Fallout 4 as a more mediocre release, so for Starfield to be doing even worse
Yeah, Fallout 4 definitely felt like a game that was missing roleplay choices. Now you had honestly some were very cool, honestly, but it did feel like you're missing a lot, especially when compared to the crowning jewel of Bethesda, which is obviously Fallout New Vegas, which is also, yes, a game that Bethesda did not make themselves. It is what it is.
is definitely not the course correction that many were hoping for. But compared to other single-player AAA RPGs, Starfield has been having better drops than some and slightly worse than some others. So it's one of those things where it's just not really that notable.
Cyberpunk was barely playable at the start. That's way different. Okay?
Starfield's doing slightly worse than other Bethesda games and slightly
Elden Ring is not something that you're supposed to play 12 weeks after, okay? Elden Ring is something that you're not supposed to even finish for the majority of people. Elden Ring is something that most people, 1, will not finish, 2, they will play a second playthrough, 3, that's it. That's literally it. There's very few people that are going to be stuck playing Elden Ring after 12 weeks. It's not a game designed like that. And, well, Cyberpunk, honestly, is also not a game designed like that. But Starfield, with the modding and everything, is. It definitely is. But this was, again, bad Cyberpunk. Now the current good Cyberpunk, different story.
Better than most other AAA RPGs. I would definitely not characterize Starfield's player count as plummeting. It is pretty similar to how most other AAA RPGs perform. And of course, this is just Steam numbers, not even getting into the complete black box that are the Xbox rankings. But overall, those are some of the recent updates around Bethesda and Starfield. The company likely has a couple of big announcements left to make this year, and maybe even one of those will be a last-minute delay of the Fallout 4 next-gen patch. But even just this week, we should have a lot more to talk about with both CDPR and Bethesda, so get subscribed.
Dude, look at these thumbnails. That's hot. Anyway, that was it. Absolute copium fields. The fields of opium, boys. Anyway, this was Quizzer saying thanks for watching. This was Juicehead. Beautiful, beautiful update in Starfield and Bethesda failures. Absolutely loved it. One of the best updates in a long time. Kiss, kiss. Bye.